As we continue to make progress with this image, there's definitely an area that we need to work on some more, right? It's this area underneath the lips. Let's go ahead and create a new layer. What I'm going to do in this new layer is I'm going to zoom way in. And what I'm interested in trying to do is to just clean this up a little bit more. And I'm also going to need to add a little bit more of a shadow in. So I'm going to go ahead and with my clone stamp tool, I'll use the blend mode of normal, a little bit low opacity, about 60 or so percent. I'm just going to look to try to brighten up this edge here. And then eventually I'm actually going to change the shape of this edge. So just going to go ahead and clone over this just a little bit. And also up here just a touch as well. And then work on this side as well. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more of the hair from this side. And I'm going to look to just change the shape as I mentioned. So I'll go ahead and make sure my sample point is right next to where my brush is so I can bring in some of the hair, just move it over a little bit. So I'm essentially just shifting the pixels over just a touch here. And I'm sampling from different areas too, just to be careful not to repeat anything too drastically so it looks like a dead giveaway here. So just changing the shape a little bit. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep changing the shape. The reason I'm going to do this is that I want to do a little bit more than I necessarily need so that I can always undo this at some point and just create a little mask to undo that as well. All right, so just do a little bit of detail work there, a little bit of detail work over there. All right, well, let's zoom out a little bit, see how this is coming. Here's our before and after with that. Okay, well, so far so good on this portion of the chin. Well, let's go up by the lip here. And we could, of course, use liquify just to push this in, and that might be a good approach, right? Just to nudge that in a little bit. But let's try our clone stamp tool while we're here. Just create a little bit of a shape to that, meaning it travels this way. All right, well, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this layer off. I don't think I quite need that layer so much, and then I'll zoom out a little bit, see how I'm doing. Here's my before and then after, just removing that shadow there a little bit and also changing the shape of what that looks like. And I'll click on my topmost layer. I'm going to bring my opacity up a little bit more so I can remove even a little bit more of this and get that all fixed up there, sweetened up that edge. A bit higher brightness value now into that area, a little bit stronger edge. I'll just go ahead and work on the background a little bit too. All right, let's see how we're doing before and then after. Yeah, we're making a pretty significant change. I think we're going in a good direction. Now there's a portion of the lip right there I need to remove, so let's merge everything to the top. Shift Option Command E on a Mac, Shift Alt Control E on a PC, filter liquify, and then we'll zoom way in on the photograph. Use our Shift Pixels tool, and we're just going to go ahead and nudge that in a little bit. And while we're here, we can also reshape the lips just a touch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, add a little bit of just a teeny more pleasant expression, and then just modify these lips just a bit here, bringing these out a little bit. Also going to change the nose just a touch. So a nice bigger brush here. I'll bring that down and just tuck that in there just a bit there, making that nostril a little bit smaller. And just changing the overall size and shape of the nose. And again, just micro little adjustments. If we click on Show Backdrop, 100% here's our before, and then there's our after. Okay, so just some small little adjustments that we can see. And again, I should say, here's our after, then here's our before those adjustments, and then after. Let's click OK so we can actually evaluate those. And again, we have our before and then after. You know, when we do that particular adjustment, the lips are starting to look pretty good. I think they're looking nice, and the other adjustments that we made look nice as well. They're pretty simple. The next thing we need to do is work on the lips here a little bit. So I'll create a new layer, and I'm going to merge all of these together. So I'm not too concerned about the way I'm naming these layers. Grab my brush tool, hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on a PC, sample a nice color there. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to darken this up, and I'm going to go ahead and add a nice dark line along the bottom of the lip. Then I'm going to try some different blend modes, and I can also try blurring this out. But I want to add a little bit of density up in this portion of the photograph. So again, I'll just go ahead and build that out there underneath and try my different blend modes. Color's a great blend mode to try to add some color to kind of bridge the gap. Doesn't really work here. Multiply is really interesting. This will be too dark, but sometimes has some good effects. Also, soft light, again, will give us some other effects. Let's go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. Now when I do this, I'm going to blur this out significantly, go back to my normal blend mode or soft light. I was on overlay there, and just start to see what will happen if I darken that portion of the image up just a bit. It's a little bit too dark, but no problem. We'll go back to our normal blend mode, lower opacity here, and just a nice way to kind of add a little bit of density to that portion of the image. Go back to that soft light blend mode. Here's my before and after. Again, just trying to connect those shadows together. Overall before and then after, reshaping this portion of the image. I think that's working for the most part. All right, well, let's go ahead and merge all of these layers together. We can always make more modifications as we progress, but let's just make sure we're going in a good direction. We'll turn off all the layers for a moment. There's a layer where we just brought down our highlights. This one we did some really nice cleanup work, a little bit more cleanup work. Then we had to work on this side of the lip. It didn't look good until we finally did those other adjustments. And then finally a little shadow there. So quite a bit of change from this particular layer here where we started to modify that. Let's group all of these together. What we're going to do is group our top layer down to our group 1 layer. We'll select those, press Command-G on a Mac, Control-G on a PC, and then we're going to name this R4 for Retouch 4. Here's our before and then our after.